Okay, hello. This video I want to talk about something. I don't know what to call it. I sort of call it little crimes or forgotten sins, or I can't think of the right word for it, but it's for little cowardly things that people do. I think it's very common. A lot of people do it. Things that they think they can get away with that to me a moral person can't do, even if it's a little thing. But a lot of people seem to have the philosophy that if you can get away with something, if there's no consequence for doing something bad, then it doesn't matter. It's not going to come back to them. So I think it's a really negative attitude that brings the whole world down. So like common examples would be, I think it happens a lot during driving, people cutting each other off, basically being selfish. Internet comments can be like this. Another example would be littering. People just do it because there's not going to be any consequence for them. And I think the way you got to approach it, if everyone did that, what could happen? If everyone littered, so you could get rubbish everywhere. And worse than that, it might seem extreme, but I think it's good to consider the Holocaust, right? I don't know how that happened. Like, to me, it blows my mind the extent of that, like terrible, horrific sort of killing. How can that happen? You could have, some insane people at the top, but I don't know. I'm very ignorant, so there's probably lots of information out there. But to me, I feel like I understand part of the psychology, which is that people didn't take full responsibility for their actions. So, you might have some people that said, I just followed orders, I only activated these switches, I just turned these, wheels or whatever, these knobs, I didn't know what it did. And some people might say, hey, I manufactured the poisonous gas, I didn't do anything, I didn't know what they were going to use it for. Some people might say, hey, we just put them, force these people into, we thought they were having showers, we didn't know. And the people up the top might say, we never even went close, we just told them what to do, we didn't know, we didn't touch anyone, we didn't hurt anyone directly. And you have this whole string of people that are saying, well, we didn't do it, but they're all responsible. I can give sort of a weird example. When you do programming, computer programming, you have redundancies. So you want every part of code to work, but you also want it to sort of be careful and be aware of a mistake, and catch it. Hopefully you can completely avoid mistakes, but when you got a good system, like a good company, someone should notice a problem or corruption, and then they should be able to report it, and we should be able to get rid of it. So an example, if I've got a little bit of code that finds the square root of something, that can't happen for a negative. Now, I could just assume, well, I'm never going to do it for a negative, so I don't need to worry, but a good code would still check if it's negative, and if it's negative, it can have a message, you can tell it what to do and control the behavior. And if you don't, so that's sort of why it's redundant or whatever. If you don't, then it can cause major problems, and your whole thing can shut down because of some little mistake somewhere else. It might not be sort of your fault, it might not be this code's fault, but if you had better code, it would have gone better. So if those people involved, if some of them, I know there might have been other pressures and stuff in the Holocaust and all that, but if they were a bit more interested in, hang on, what are you using this gas for? Scientists that were making things could say, no, I'm not going to do that. But I guess that's going further. The general problem I'm talking about is people doing little things that they're going to get away with, and it makes me so furious. I really hate it. I remember seeing a kid at school, they just threw a can on the ground, and I don't know, that really bothers me. I don't know, maybe it doesn't bother other people, but and then they said it's the cleaners' jobs to do that. And I was trying to explain, if the cleaners didn't have to clean that up, they could spend more time cleaning other things up, making it look better. Or if we kept the place clean, we'd only need to hire them half the time. We could spend more money on other things, other fancy, fun things for everyone. I think it's It's just something people need to understand. Any one bad thing is bad for everyone in the end, in the long run. It's more work because everyone's connected. Anyone, whoever you get haircuts from, whoever you get, I don't know, do business with, do trading, if they're negatively impacted by something, then everyone is. So it's just, anytime someone just does something, I think it doesn't matter. It affects everyone. So yeah, like another example is cyberbullying, or just general being a douche on the internet, being a dick, and saying negative things. Again, it ties in with the other stuff I said about just having, people seem to have this negative need to just pick on other people. I don't know where that comes from. Insecurity, or their parents reinforced it. Actually, I do sort of have a theory. It relates to what I was trying to say something about Facebook and Instagram. These technological things, we're so hyped up these days. I think people, it's the equivalent of candy to me, like sweets. Some people just can't control themselves from eating things because it tastes nice. And I think a lot of people psychologically can't hold back from doing certain things because it makes them feel good. So things that are just like, that don't involve thinking, that are just a quick fix. Like pornography could be like that, but also other things like, just funny images. Like some of that can be healthy and fun, but if it's just constant, I think it's bad for your brain. It's bad for your development. So just another little thing like that. I think some people, they need to put other people down to make themselves feel better. It really is, I think for some people, actually for a lot of people, in certain areas, it becomes a habit. And I think maybe part of it is if people feel there's a social structure, even if they don't admit it. I think a lot of people in their mind see certain people above others, or at least in certain areas. I know a lot of people have been extremely condescending to me for no reason. And it used to bother me. Now I just find it hilarious that they're so stupid and naive. Because it really, unless you know someone, unless you know where they're coming from and you know better, like, I think there's no need to be condescending or arrogant. And some people, I think that's why anytime that I'm good at something, it's an affront to other people. So people interpret it as I'm being a show-off, when really I'm just being myself, and they're offended that someone with certain qualities could be whatever. I'm always flattered. I always find it funny when people get offended or call me a show-off. I'm like, what? That's barely anything. I feel like I could do more. So yeah, just adding to those examples. So there's litter, comments on, the internet, driving, a lot of people cutting each other off. There's times when I want to, turn left, and I need to change lane to the left and then turn. And someone else is coming, and I put my blinker on. My philosophy with the blinker, you put it on to indicate that I would like to change as soon as possible, right? And then I usually put it on and then wait to see. I expect that within a couple of seconds, the person to the left of me will give some space. So a lot of them don't. They either don't notice or but anyway, a number of times it drives me nuts. They'll speed up, cut me off basically. And then they end up at an intersection 30 meters ahead. They haven't gained anything, and all they've done is inconvenienced me, sometimes to the point that I'm not able to turn where I needed to. And I'm not just an idiot. It could be that I'm driving somewhere I've never been before. I'm using a navigation, or it's a quick turn, or I didn't know which lane I had to be in for that area. And just another example, I see this at school a lot. Kids say things very quickly. They really quickly criticize things, and when I sometimes question them or say, "Excuse me, what did you say?" most of them will back down. Like, they will not have the guts to say what they said again. And I think, again, people get used to, if they can say something and get a little fix out of it, they're happy. But when they have to justify it, and they find they can't, they sort of chicken out. And I think a key part of it is they don't take responsibility for it. They won't admit what they said. They won't accept responsibility and face the consequences. There's just one other really good example, I think, is I notice this with a lot of people. When they write about something, they're very happy to gloat and tell you about it and brag and show you the evidence. But a lot of the same people, when they're wrong, they go quiet and they don't mention it, or they just brush it off. And I think that's really cowardly and pathetic. I think you've got to be consistent. I try to be more consistent. If I'm right, I'm like, oh, okay, there you go. And if anything, I get annoyed when people don't learn or try to learn. Then I'm like, no, dude, it was this. So just try to. And if I'm wrong, I'm like, oh, really? Oh, and then I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, that's how it is. I want to learn more about it. I want to get better next time. I remember a lot of times where I'd be talking about something and I'd say, oh, isn't that from this year? Or, just some quote. And, they'd be so vehement that I was wrong. And I'd be very confident. Pretty much 100%, but I'd say, oh, I'm pretty sure, and then I'd be like, okay, maybe you're right, and then it turns out later I'm right, and of course they don't want to say anything, they don't want to hear about it, and it really drives me nuts. But anyway, so I guess my ending for this is just don't do anything unless you're really proud of it and you take responsibility for it. If it's something selfish, I'm reminded of this Dumbledore quote, you have to face the choice between what is easy and what is right. And I'm sickened by the number of people that constantly choose what's easy for them, and they're completely too stupid or just indifferent to the fact that it's really bad for everyone. It creates more problems for everyone. Another really cool quote I like is the JFK quote, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I think it's really relevant, like, in most situations, and especially for this sort of thing. People, do the right thing and take responsibility, own your actions, and only do things if you really believe in them. And just stop picking on people. It's even if you get away with it, don't do wrong things just because you get away. Alright, bye.